Next, I read Witches of East End by Melissa de la Cruz. I honestly really loved this book. This book, instead of Greek mythology like I thought, it's actually set around Norse mythology, which if you actually compare the Norse mythology and the Greek mythology, while certain things differ, they actually look similar in a lot of the ways. But this one was very good. This is about 3 witches, which actually the TV show it's 4. Well, 4 witches, as you can see on the cover. There's Ingrid, there's Freya, there's their mother Joanna, and there's Aunt Wendy. But Wendy didn't come into this book at all, so I'm wondering if maybe she'll come in later in the series, or maybe she was just an add-on character from the show. And if she was an add-on character, I'm actually kind of sad because Wendy is one of my favorite of the girls. So these 3 witches live in this small little town that's like, have you ever traveled and then you stop in this one random town and you're like, oh, this place is nice, I gotta come back. And then you try to come back and you just can't find it no matter what you do. You ask for directions, you look on a map, you just cannot find it. That's literally what this town is. People can stop there accidentally, but when they try to find it, nowhere to be found. Not on a map. No one knows where they're talking about. You just cannot find it. So these witches have been living here for centuries, from what I understand. One of the Gardner boys moves to town. He ends up dating Freya, and like the TV show, they get engaged. But you actually get, like in the show, it's very brief how they talk about the Norse mythology in this, but in this one you get much more in depth, and I loved it even more for that because you actually understand a lot more. I can't remember what the actual Norse mythology, what their names would be, but I actually believe Freya's name is Freya in the Norse mythology gods, although I think I want to say she was like the goddess of love or something, but I'm not completely sure on that one. Like I said, my Greek mythology is a lot better than my Norse. It was interesting enough to where I'm looking forward to seeing not only where the series is going to go, but maybe I'll read other books that are about Norse mythology. But yeah, so the twist at the end got me, because I kind of knew that one of the brothers was going to be evil, so I already knew which brother would be, but the exact reason why and who they were, never saw it coming. They never even touched on it in the TV shows. While the TV show was good, the book so much better, and I should have known it was going to be. I was so nervous to get into it because I didn't want to be disappointed in and kind of ruin one of my favorite TV shows, even though it's been canceled. So yeah, so good. I believe I gave this one a 4.5 star, and I am definitely continuing on with this series. Okay, next I went back to some Greek mythology and read Hades and Persephone by Tori Cheney, I want to say. Extremely tiny. I mean, like extremely tiny. I think there's only 100 pages. There's not 100 pages. There are 70 pages in this thing. I got this on Prime Day, and so I was really glad, and I honestly didn't expect to mark any parts, but I actually got a good few in here, maybe 8 of them in here. So there were 8 parts that I really liked that I thought one day I might want to go back and read. And while it was not as great as the other Hades and Persephone retellings that I've read, it was still pretty good. And it is a self-published author, and I'm always willing to support self-published authors. And so it sounded pretty good when I read about it on Goodreads and on Amazon, so I decided to pick it up. So it was pretty good. Not as good as I was hoping, but they pretty much got everything. They got, while Persephone was the maiden of spring, when she met Hades, and he did not kidnap her. In this book, there was no kidnapping of any sort. He saw her frolicking and thought she was very beautiful, so he left her a present and a note. She wrote back to him, he wrote back to her. There was something different in this book. In this one, the food of the underworld does not tie her to the underworld like in the other books. And this one, they actually go to Zeus, and Zeus gives Persephone the choice. You know, do you want to stay up here with your mother, or do you want to return to the underworld as its queen? But they pretty much covered all their bases and added a few little things that I didn't think of here and there. And I gave this a 3-star rating. Next, I read The Star-Touched Queen by Roshani Choshny or Chashki, I don't know. I've heard like different pronunciations. And this one is also a loose base on Hades and Persephone retelling, but also a Greek mythology, an Indian mythology retelling. And I found it very interesting how I can't remember the Indian mythology. I honestly looked it up, but I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me. But if you know the basic story of Hades and Persephone, then you pretty much can guess what happens in here. Maya is born with a horoscope of a marriage that will lead to death and destruction. And so of course her father does not engage her to anybody. Her entire village, her entire kingdom hates her because they literally blame her for everything. Like one of the wives says, one of her father's of many wives says in this book that once Maya's shadow touched hers, and because of that she was no longer able to carry children. She just kept miscarrying and miscarrying and miscarrying, even though the babies looked perfectly healthy. She just kept having stillborns and miscarriages. And I'm honestly like, really? You never thought it was because of that black heart of yours that they kept dying? But then I realized that was kind of mean of me. But this woman was a real pain. All the wives blamed her for all sorts of stuff. They say that snakes would bow to her, which you never actually see in this book, but other things that they were saying actually did happen, like how she didn't have a shadow, or how her shadow wouldn't stay with her all the time, and that actually you saw very briefly in the beginning of the book. But one day when her father decides that he's actually going to marry her off, but it's actually not true, he actually is tricking the people that he's having a war with so that they will come to him, and then he can kill them, and then the war will be over. And so there's this other person that's there for Maya that she didn't remember seeing before amongst the other men, and he offers, you know, I'll take you away and you'll be safe, and I'll do whatever I can for the rest of the people here. So she throws the what do you call it, the necklace of flowers around his neck, and then that signifies that they're married, I guess, somehow. I really liked this story. It was awesome. This is actually my second attempt at reading it. I tried to read it once before, and I don't know why. Like, just before she sets the tree on fire, that's where I stopped the time before. But this was my second time attempting to read it, and this time I flew through it, and I really, really liked it. But I really liked the audiobook. I liked the woman's voice, and her, what I imagine the way she pronounces things sounds like really good. A lot of words she say I can't re-say though. I gave this one a 4-star rating. So yeah, I really, really liked it. Beautiful cover, and I think I might even read that other book that she just came out with that's actually about one of Maya's sisters. Next, I reread Illumine, and I read Gemina. Bit of a size difference, not too much though. I really loved it, still love. I finished both of these on audiobook. I actually listened to audiobook before I actually bought the physical book of this one, and then I listened to the audiobook at the same time I had this one. And I gotta say, I'm probably glad I listened to audiobook, because I didn't like this one as much as this one. Yeah, so this one I gave a 5-star rating, and I gave this one a 4-star rating. This one, I actually could believe that everything that happened in this one could really happen. But this one, there was just something that happened with the wormhole in this one and alternate universes. That's what I'm gonna say. And I was just like, no, too far. It's just too far, which is weird because I can accept that on Doctor Who, but I couldn't accept it for the book. Don't know why. But I did like it, and I really like the bad boy, good girl romance going on in this one. And I am looking forward to number 3. Next, I reread The Goddess of Spring, a Hades and Persephone retelling by PC Cass. And really, really, really love this one. This one takes a modern day woman whose bakery is starting to fail, and they put her in the body of Persephone, the goddess of spring, and takes Persephone's soul, puts it in her body, and since Persephone is the goddess of spring, anything she touches will flourish, including the woman's bakery. And the woman goes to the underworld, and she's supposed to make the spirits feel more loved, I want to say, by a goddess. So it's kind of like a mother-father kind of thing. You know, Hades is the father, but all kids want a mother, so that's kind of what she is. And I love this book. I believe the first time around I gave this a 5-star rating. I might have given it a 4-star rating this time because I kind of knew what was going to happen. But I really liked it. Then I read The Goddess of the Rose, and I really like this one. This one was a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, although in the front of the book, let's see, what did the author say again? This book is for everyone who fell in love with the Beast and was truly disappointed when he turned into a handsome prince. I thought that was really interesting because actually I thought about it and I kind of was disappointed when he turned into a prince. I mean, we all know it's going to happen, but I kind of wanted him to stay a beast at the same time. At least older me. Younger me was just like, oh, love. But when older me watches it, she's kind of disappointed when he turns into a prince. I don't know why. I just am. But I really, really like this one. And I like the twist at the end. She makes a sacrifice. I'm not going to say what kind of sacrifice. But it ends up changing the realm of the rose. Which is the realm of Hecate? I can never say her name, but the goddess of the ebony moon and magic and a bunch of other stuff too. The crossroads. The crossroads is another one. So she's the goddess of the ebony moon, crossroads, and magic. Those are the three main, but she has other titles in there too. She's looking for I can never remember the name, but it's basically a high priestess to take care of her realm of the rose, and then once a year they get a new priestess for reasons I'm not going to say because it would spoil the book. And so this girl ends up making a sacrifice while she's there, which ends up changing the realm in certain ways while she's also falling for the Beast. And trying to convince him he's not just a beast, he's also a man, because he's got the body of a beast, but he's got the mind and heart and soul of a man. But it's very good and I really liked it. I actually literally just finished this one like 5 maybe 20 minutes ago now. I will give this 3.5 stars. Yeah, 3.5 stars. I liked it. Wasn't perfect, but I really liked it. Alright, last book is Nice Girls Don't Have Fangs. I was looking for kind of a funny book, and I was actually thinking about rereading the Undead Unwed Betsy Taylor series, but I picked this one up instead, and I honestly did like it. This is about Jane, who is a librarian who gets fired by her evil boss, and she goes out and drinks one night and then meets this handsome guy. Even though she wants to do more than just talk to him, he ends up just putting her in her car when she sobers up a bit, and she starts driving home only for her car to break down. She's on her way home when she trips, falls into a ditch. She's in mid climbing out of that ditch when she is shot, mistaken for a deer by a drunk hunter. And so she wakes up 3 days later and she's a vampire, and it's about her learning her new life, her new diet, and adjusting to all her new changes. So while she's adjusting to all this and trying to keep her family from finding out she's a vampire because she's not ready to tell them yet, somebody is messing with Jane. Someone has framed her for one murder, is trying to frame her for a second and third murder, has tried to kill her dog, and has been stalking her house and her. She can feel them, but whenever she runs at vampire speed to the spot where she knows they're standing, they're gone, and all she can smell is celery, which she says to her smells like greed. And it was actually the person I was suspecting from the not the very beginning, but like once the Vampire Council called her, I kind of started suspecting this person, and I was right. And it was funny and nice southernness to it, and I really liked it. I haven't given this one a rating on Goodreads either. I will give this one a solid 3 star. It was pretty good. Not completely amazing, but it was pretty good. So that is my wrap up, and I will see you guys next time.